welcome everybody to the first Dev Console / Explorer webinar. My name is Josh Ford. I work on the developer relations team here at NEAR Protocol. Joining me is Josh Quintal, Vlad Froloff, and Sharif. You're going to have to pronounce your last name because I'm very
Sorry, it's just way too many letters, but it yeah. You guys can call me Reef though.
Cool. Yeah, you want to do quick introductions real quick? Josh, yeah. Quintel?
Yeah, definitely. Hey everyone, I'm Josh Quintel. I am the product manager of Dev Console and Explorer, which Explorer was kind of a recent transition. So you'll be seeing more of me around channels and on meetings like this. And I will pass it to you, Vlad and Sharif.
Hey, I'm Vlad. You also may have noticed myself referenced as Frol. I started Explorer project back in the days, and I'm still here with you guys. I'm happy to be here and follow you through all the history and how it will bring the future. Riff?
Hey everybody, thanks for joining. My name is Sharif El-Shinawi. I'm leading design on the Explorer product. Our design process has been internal for a little bit, and now we're opening things up, and we're really excited to involve the community since you are the users. And so this is the first of many, hopefully, events like this where we can gather your feedback and collaborate with you on the evolution of the Explorer product.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. Yeah, like we mentioned in the announcement that I tweeted out and posted in our community channels, it's going to be a monthly meeting. We're going to talk about the progress made with Dev Console and Explorer. We'll talk about the features that we're currently working on, and then discuss kind of like the future of these tools. And yeah, again, because the community is the ones that you guys are the ones that are actually using this tool, it only makes sense that you help shape the development process for that. So this is like a really good way for us to get instant feedback from you and have like live discussion as far as what you like, what you think about the features that we're rolling out, and yeah, help us in this process as we move forward. This month we're actually just going to be focusing on the Explorer. We're not going to be going over Dev Console just yet. So next month, again, this will be every first Thursday of the month, and yeah, next month we'll be talking more about Dev Console, but today we'll just be going over Explorer. Last month's, if you guys were a part of the protocol meeting, we had kind of an async question and answer format, but we'd also like to invite anybody that wants to kind of come up on stage and ask a question live. Absolutely, that's totally an option for you. So ask a question, and like there's a question and answer portion at the bottom of your screen. If you'd like to ask a question and not come up on stage and do it, that's totally fine. But yeah, drop a message in the chat if later during the question and answer process portion of this, if you'd like to come up and ask a live question, please feel free to do so. And with that, I think I'll pass it off to either Josh or Vlad. I'm not sure who's going to be presenting, but yeah, take it away.
I think I will take it from here. Josh will definitely lead it on the Dev Console and all the subsequent calls for Explorer. But since I've been involved with the whole history of Explorer, I think this first meeting I will take it on me, and then updates will be much easier to conduct from Josh's side. So let me share the screen just so we are not, staring at an empty screen or like just looking at myself. I'd like to say that Explorer went through a lot of iterations, and it's still an ongoing project. We started with a very small tool that could only follow the very latest changes on the network, and as of today, we have the whole history of the blockchain sitting specifically for Explorer needs out there, and Explorer UI lets you to explore whatever you find interesting about the changes, history, or basically the sky's the limit. Basically, anything you want, you can have on the network. So anything that has happened should be navigatable through Explorer. And just to remind you, here's how this UI looks like today. It's quite quite clean and nice, but I still want to improve and communicate even more. And more to this, Riff will provide about the future in a couple of minutes. I want us to walk through what we currently have and what the basically the focus of our work lays in. So this is landing page. You for sure have seen it. The changes here are yet to be visible in the future. As you can see, it's quite interactive and immediately updates all the values. But what we want to focus on as of today is on the pages that you usually want to explore rather than just eyeballing the main page. Usually go to the account page and start digging into the history of your account or somebody else's account. And currently, what we did was all around very raw representation of what's in the network, and the evolution of Explorer UI led us to this quite overloaded UI with a lot of numbers in here. We experimented with adding even more of those. We actually want to add more data and make it more readable. And to do so, we started to explore the space. Another part of this page is this list of transactions, and you may actually notice when you open somebody's else's accounts, they are actually not that easy to understand. My account is as a regular user is not that complicated, but if you go to foundation.near, you can start noticing that it's not actually helping you much, because it just says that the only thing that is happening on this account is confirming something, where foundation sending a transaction to foundation confirming something. Not very helpful. And this what Riff will present you in just a bit of like what's in there. And then if you go to some transaction page, you can also see it's bloated with all sorts of metrics that are super useful, but at the same time, not very readable. So from here, I want to invite Riff to jump in and walk us through about the future. Yeah, Riff?
Sure. Hey, Josh, it's saying it's disabled. Let me try it again. Yeah, maybe there's a setting you can switch on.
I just promoted you to co-host. Congratulations. You should be able to. You should be able to share now. There you go.
It was a dream. Okay. We can all see the screen.
Yep.
Great. Fantastic. So what I want to do before anything is talk about how we're all going to collaborate together. We're using Figma. I'm not sure if everybody has a Figma account, but what we're after this meeting, and you know, we're going to be sharing this link out. We want people to give us inline comments and feedback on these screens in specific locations. So the only thing that I'm asking of you is to please create a free Figma account if you don't have one. We really value your feedback, and we want you to engage on this next phase of our design process. So within the Figma file that we're going to share out after the meeting, this will always be there, some instructions on how to leave the feedback. So today we're going to look at our account details page, and then we're going to go all the way through to transactions and talk about a few concepts and things on the horizon that we're thinking about. Before we start, and when you are looking at this later, we wanted to sort of annotate the experience a little bit to remind ourselves, to remind you guys of some of the elements of the Explorer, the new evolution of it. So I'm not going to go through every single detail, but I do want to talk about the structure and the reasoning behind things. So as you saw with Froll's, with the presentation of where we are today, we took a step back and we tried to build principles before touching anything in terms of design. And those principles were hierarchy, clarity, brevity, and some guidance along the way. So we want everyone, no matter what level user they are, to be able to explore, to be able to understand where they are, what they're able to do, and what's going on. So at the very top here, we're not going to be talking too much about navigation today. So let's leave those comments till the next meeting, where we'll have a much more focused effort on navigation. Let's do everything from the header down here. So we start with some Identicons, and the reason that we're proposing this is to break some of the text heaviness of Explore and add some visual language to kind of separate and make things easier to scan. Up here is basically the high level metadata for that user. Like we said, we want to create some hierarchy. So things like balance, amount staked, if there is any stake tokens, the number of transactions, and then a link out to the wallet. So a lot of this stuff is available on Explorer. We're just redesigning it to add, again, pointing back to that principle of hierarchy and clarity. You'll see a label here, and that will differentiate so that you can understand whether this is a user, a app, or a DAO, right? Coming down to the list, we're using a tabbed pattern for, again, pointing back to some clarity. We want, and hierarchy, we want simple ways to organize all of this information. So some of the ideas that are on the horizon are being able to display assets and access keys and any lockups associated with a contract. The activity is literally every event that happens for that account, and I'll go through the table here, and we can take a look at some of the elements that we're bringing forward. So we are prioritizing the people first, the accounts that are the accounts for each transaction. So from and to. We are using a new labeling system for transaction type, so that, again, we have an easy way to scan and understand what's happening. We're bringing in some iconography for tokens to understand what tokens have been transacted. We're using color to indicate balance change. And we're using a very short abbreviated version of the idea, and this has sort of been a point of contention. Our first initial concept, we removed them. We didn't see a reason for them to be there. We got some feedback that from some people and some use cases where they needed those things. So again, these are some of the things that we'd love your feedback on. And not really so much I like this or I don't like this, but the reasoning behind it, and maybe a use case indicating why you feel the way you do. This stuff will really help us understand some user stories and maybe some journeys that we haven't worked into here. Another thing that we're doing that a lot of explorers aren't doing is and this is sort of the focus principle, is we're not making everything on this screen clickable. We believe, at least our assumption, our hypothesis, is that people are here to navigate the Explorer itself and not so much bounce around from thing to thing. So as you hover over this is one element that will allow you to click anywhere into a transaction instead of clicking on separate accounts or other things of that nature, right? Down here, since we do have tons of batch transactions and they can range from 2 to 100, that really blows up this list and makes it sort of unusable, right? So what we're trying to do here, again, with that brevity principle, is condense things, but also allow people to understand how many or events within that transaction there are. And once you click into them, you'll obviously see all of those things. All right. Now, because of the velocity of the network, it's really hard to add pagination. So simple load more is what our approach is for that. So again, all of this was done so that you can come back here if you forget any of the things that I've mentioned. They're annotated here for you to do a little refresh. A very small sort of concept that we're conceptualizing here is the auto search, the auto suggest, the type ahead. We want people to be able to search quickly, find who they're trying to go to, and that sort of points back to the guidance principle. So these things, you'll see that little people icon, which will indicate accounts. You'll see other icons for other types of accounts as well, so that you have a visual organization in front of you. Okay, so we went through this stuff. When I click into a transaction now, we're going to go into our transaction detail. I'm sorry. First, we're going to go into a new feature that we're exploring, which is filtering. Our assumption is that we see a need, especially when you're at an account with thousands of transactions and you're looking for specific things. Our hypothesis is that users may need to filter by the accounts from and to, transaction types, the amount range of NEAR tokens, and the date range as well. Again, this is a really great place for you guys to comment and tell us either why or why not you would use a feature like this. That's really valuable to us. And you can also add things that maybe we haven't included here, different types of filters you would love to see. And again, please give us the why. The why is the most important thing we're looking for here. So you can filter this list, find what I'm looking for. And now when we're clicking into the transaction detail, we're using the same sort of header bar pattern to add that hierarchy. So all the high level details, labels for the state of that transaction, which there could be many. The high level up here of this data, the fees attached, the TGAS, these are up for these things are up to you guys, right? We want to understand what metadata is most important to you, right? We have our assumptions, and we'd like to hear from you as to what you'd like to see up there, what's helpful and what's useful. So down here, we're basically bringing the pieces of that transaction that you saw on the list, making them bigger and adding some hierarchy there. And then we're using that same tabbed pattern to organize the information. You'll see the arguments, the result, the logs, the balance change. Once we go to, and these names, again, the naming conventions, we've heard a lot from people about these things sound confusing or that we need to better name things. Again, this is a place and a time for you to suggest such names and naming conventions, okay? So once we go in to this inspect tab, now we see the rest of this data of that transaction. There are things that will be clickable here. And because I'd mentioned before that on the actual list of transactions, we're not allowing for people to click on accounts and other things. But once you get into the transaction detail, all of those things are clickable. Okay. Now we're moving on to what a batch would look like, right? So once we get these really complex transactions, we're using an expansion pattern so that we don't have, as we have today, this long list of things. Now, you might say, I'm used to that and I like that. We'd like to hear why or why not, and whether this organization of the information is actually much more helpful or useful to you. Use cases are really important to us. So if you're a developer with specific use case and reasoning behind your comment, please, please, please include that. That's the most valuable thing for us. Other ideas, as I had mentioned before, are what would it look like if I could go and check out the assets or the access keys of a specific account. And so these are things that we're working on. They aren't fully fleshed out. And so your comments, again, are very valuable in these last couple screens as well, as we haven't focused as much as we have on the screens that you previously saw. So that's that. That's these are the screens that we wanted to present to you guys. And again, I want to sort of zoom out here and go back and remind people it's really easy. If you don't have a Figma account, once we share this link, the first thing you'll see up top is a bar that says sign up, right? You have the choice whether to sign up or not. If you want to engage and leave comments, you need a Figma account. If you just want to look around, you don't. So thank you for listening. Thank you for showing up. And thank you in advance for all the comments and help and use cases that you guys are about to give us. That's all from me.
Sharif, do you have a link to the Figma that we could drop in the chat?
Yes.
We could share with everyone so they could sign up for it. That'd be awesome.
Absolutely. I'll do that right now.
Just saw a comment it says we don't get to see other people's chance to answers. Actually, it's open to everyone. The chat should be open to everyone. I haven't actually gotten any questions in the question portion yet. Does that, just to check in with Frol and Sharif, does that conclude the presentation part? Are we ready to open it up for any questions? Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, anybody that would like to, okay, I see a question that popped up real quick. But yeah, so what we'll do now is we will take any kind of questions or comments that you guys have. You can do it either in the chat, the Q&A portion. There should be a little tool at the bottom of the Zoom window, or if you'd like to join and yeah, just ask a question with your voice, come up on stage and do that. Absolutely can do that. So just drop a message in chat that you'd like to join and I'll add you in the chat. The first question is, on Explorer like Ethereum, we can see whether a particular address is EOA account or contract account. And from there, if it is a contract account, we can see the complete code of the contract. Can we expect the same in NEAR Explorer in upcoming features?
Probably let me take this question then. There are a few actually questions in this single one. First, on the UI, on the Figma, you will already see that each account is tagged with a specific category. Right now, we went with a simple one, distinction between a user and the account with a contract on it. So basically, you will see either a user or contract label. But what's indeed more important is to see the source code of the contract, and that's going to be a separate tab on that page, account details page, where we will pull in all the available information about the contracts. I just want to bring to attention that by design, NEAR allows to submit any WASM executable as a contract, meaning that we cannot really enforce and like easily show the end users what the source code was because it's compiled binary. But we are looking to to have a facility to integrate it with Dev Console and potentially other services in decentralized way to that will allow you to sign your applications and provide metadata that through some UI, and then Explorer will just pull it in the same way Explorer currently pulls information about the validators, validating nodes. On the validating nodes page, you can see there is a metadata with a homepage, description, and a few other and like country. All of them are pulled from on-chain from the contracts, from a contract called named NEAR, if I don't remember, don't misremember it. So yeah, that's definitely on our radar. Though there is no timeline yet for that feature, but yeah, we'll definitely prioritize it once we finish with the first steps that we presented today. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, I think the little follow-up was you can only see the contract if the owner has submitted it. And that's actually, I think we'll touch on that a little bit. You can see the compiled WASM that's there, but it's kind of hard to parse exactly what the contract code is. So you can't really view it. And then I noticed that you mentioned stuff like stats.gallery, and you think that they're able to see those methods based on transactions made to the contract. That's actually not correct. The individual by Jacob on the education team is the one behind stats.gallery, and he created a tool. It's like a NEAR contract parser that allows you to actually look at the WASM, and it can show the methods right now that you can call on the contract. So it's actually not from the indexer, but it's actually looking at the WASM and seeing, oh, these are the methods that you can call on that individual contract. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, if you want to ping me on Discord, I'm Josh Pipe NEAR. I can forward you that repo and you can take a look at the source code and see how he did that. Yeah, it's really cool tool for sure.
Yeah, if we will dive into it a little bit more, we'll actually notice that WASM doesn't have a way to expose the data like all in all details. We can only learn about the method names. We cannot even learn about the arguments that it expects. So therefore, Rust tooling team who are working on NEAR SDK RS are building the standard, which will allow us and other explorers and other tooling to extract information about the methods and arguments from the WASM file just by NEAR SDK RS providing that facility by compiling that info into the binary itself. So that would definitely unblock us and many other projects out there.
Yeah, and just to have a shameless plug on that, so next week we're having the protocol meeting on Thursday, and the following week we'll be having the tooling team on board. So yeah, if you want to talk about Rust SDK, AssemblyScript SDK, like anything in our tooling portion, the third Thursday of the month, we're going to be having a public protocol meeting. And basically, yeah, every week of the month, we're going to have this on Thursdays where you're going to be talking to a different team and asking any kind of questions and participating in the development process of the entire protocol. So yeah, just want to plug that out, and I'll be sending out watch Discord for
perfect
updates
timing
in our tweets. Yeah, and perfect timing. Yeah. Cool. The next question I see is, can I ask how the indexer is used in the Explorer?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I will take this one as well. So initially, so let's start from a bit of a high level overview, starting from the blockchain itself. Blockchain is a piece of technology that only cares about how to reach the consensus about the changes and how to move forward. It doesn't optimize for querying the data. It doesn't optimize for like use from the external world. It only cares about how to not get stuck and how to make sure there is no centralization point. And in order to serve Explorer needs, we need some tool that would be able to follow what's happening on the network and put it into a storage that is can be easily queried and in the ways that Explorer needs. So Indexer is this tool that follows network block by block and stores it right now into a Postgres database. So currently we have a Postgres database that sits in between in between the blockchain and the Explorer UI, and serves all sorts of types of requests, and you can find them on Indexer for Explorer project. There's even a public shared access to that Postgres database, read-only, obviously, where you can play with the data as well if you need. And on the Explorer side, what we do, we just make SQL queries to that storage, to the Postgres instance. And if we need information about transactions and stuff like that, like give me 10 recent transactions by this account ID. Blockchain does not have that facility to serve such requests to you. But when you store it in a regular database, you can do it. And this is exactly what Indexer does for us. So as you may have, if you've been following NEAR for a bit, you may have noticed I posted sometimes announcements like there is a downtime of Explorer due to Indexer issues. And that actually means that Indexer got stuck for one reason or another, and it could not put the data into the database, and therefore Explorer wouldn't be able to display that latest data. While the whole consistency and availability is there, it just lags behind a bit. But then it catches up, and everything is all good. Hope does
Awesome.
answer your question.
I think so. It was Mario that asked that question. Mario, please ask any follow-up questions if you do. An individual's asking if you could provide a link to the Postgres database that you're talking about. If you could drop that in the chat, that'd be awesome. Yeah, Mario, let me know, or let us know if that answered your question, or if you have any follow-ups.
Shameless plug here again. The Indexer is a separate team which will have a separate call later this month, probably. We'll see. It actually, as I mentioned, it follows the network with the latest data, and you can do whatever you want. So there is Indexer framework that allows you to implement your own Indexer and do whatever you want with those blocks. You can put them on Postgres, you can put them on BigQuery, you can ignore 99% of the data and put only certain items and call webhooks. Originally, we had Indexer framework tightly coupled with NEAR Core, with the blockchain itself. The benefit is that it follows, it's part of the peer-to-peer network, the same blockchain network as all the other nodes. The downside is that it needs to sync with the latest data on the network. It needs to store 5 recent epochs in NEAR, which means like 2.5 days of data. And it requires you to have 0.5 terabyte storage SSD drive to have it running. And recently we actually launched a new project called NEAR Lake ecosystem, which significantly lowers down the requirements and allows you to start in just a matter of seconds, actually, with your own Indexer, just because the data is stored on S3 as intermediate storage. And once you build your Indexer, you can read from S3 immediately, get the stream of blocks right from it. And I will share the link to the announcement post on gov.near.org forum. where you will find all the like tutorial, overview, intro, and from there we can start the conversation. I don't want to take any more time from this call today. Sorry, it already took a while.
Yeah, no, just thanks for that plug. Yeah, the indexer, data, RPC, all that conversations will happen at the last Thursday of the month. So yeah, first Thursday Explorer, second Thursday protocol, third Thursday tooling, and then the last one will be indexer and data and RPC endpoints. Mario had a follow-up and was just asking, I also meant if indexer exposes an API, so queries are done to this API, and the indexer node is an RPC node, can we also access it from some DApp?
I think I already touched on it. Basically, indexer itself indeed is a near core node. You can have the same RPC communication with it, but it doesn't provide any extra benefits whatsoever. The only reason indexers leaves is that you can implement the logic which will react to the incoming blocks and do something with them. Indexer for Explorer, so there is indexer framework which allows you to build such indexers, and there are plenty of them actually. Mintbase built their own, Fire implement their own, and I know like a dozen of those already. I just don't remember all the names from the top of my head. And after you store those events in some storage, you can do whatever you want. With indexer for Explorer implementation, we put the data into Postgres, and then you can query the Postgres database. I do not recommend, to be honest, to run your own indexer for Explorer foundation unless you know what you're doing, because it will require you to run a few nodes. It will require you to have Postgres instance. So, and each node will require archival node, not a regular one. Archival node is over 7 terabytes data right now. And then you will need a storage for Postgres database, which is now roughly 1.5 terabytes. Rarely you actually need to do that. Mostly you want to react to your own few events, and NEAR Lake is what I recommend you to explore and use.
Cool, awesome. Thanks, Roel.
Let's move on. Yeah.
Next question would be, how are sub accounts shown in the UI? And a second question would be, how would the UI show deployed smart contract code and callable functions? So yeah, it's a little bit of a two-part question.
Yeah, let me start from the first one then. How sub accounts shown in this UI? So each account is independent from all the rest of the accounts. Even if it's a sub account, the only relation they had initially is that their parent account created the sub account. After it is created, there is no relation left except the naming. So we actually didn't explore that part of providing some specific handling for sub accounts. Just like NEAR is an account. If you haven't noticed it, NEAR is just a regular account with a contract deployed to it. It's a link drop contract, which allows you to which can create new accounts underneath. So when I went to create for.NEAR, I actually used wallet, which submitted a transaction on my behalf, subsidizing the cost of creation of an account to the NEAR contract with request to create for.NEAR with a public key that was provided from my browser. Therefore, I don't think there is a need to treat all the NEAR *.NEAR accounts as something you want to see on NEAR account. But maybe there are some use cases where sub accounts could be a reasonable thing to list. Let us know about your use case, and we'll definitely explore. Maybe we miss some of the use cases there.
Awesome, thanks. And yeah, the second part, I think we touched on a little
Yeah.
bit more, but how we're going to deploy smart contract code and callable functions. Yeah, do you want to
Yeah,
touch on that a little?
as already touched on it,
Yeah.
indeed, there will be a tab on the account details page where we will try to collect all the valuable information about the contracts. So currently, as you may have seen on the current version of the Explorer, it only has like 4 data points about the contract, if it's deployed, whether it's when was it deployed, with which like transaction it was deployed, or like recently updated, and whether it's locked or not. Locked meaning there are no access keys on the account left, full access keys on the account left, which means there is no way to upgrade the source code unless the contract itself implements this logic of self-upgrade, which well, we cannot tell with the binary from the bottom binary itself. But this again, getting a little bit back to the conversation we had about the WASM files and viewing the code of the deployed contract. Given that you only observe the binary, the compiled binary on chain for the contract, and you cannot revert the process of compilation back to the source code, the thing that you can do is if somebody provides you with a link to the source code and you can compile it, you can compare the checksum of the compiled result with the checksum of the code that is on chain, and if it matches, it means that basically the source code is equivalent to the contract that is deployed on chain. And this is a facility we want to explore. And I know that there are some projects out there who may try to solve this like outside of Explorer first, because we don't want to provide like all the like extensions out there. We want to be decentralized, and ideally we want to rely on some other services which will be able to compile source code and compare the result with the one that is on chain for you automatically. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Awesome. Thanks, Vlad. That's all the questions that we had that was in the Q&A portion or queued up so far. So please feel free to drop any more if you have them. But I do have, looks like Guillermo's joined. Did you have a question, Guillermo?
Hi, no.
Oh, okay. Oh, it looks like he doesn't have any questions. Cool. Yeah, and yeah, if anyone else has any other questions, feel free to drop them in the chat or the Q&A section. Otherwise, potentially wrap it up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, well, it was all fruitful conversations, and I think all the questions were super intense and like in depth. Thanks for asking them. I think whoever will later check out this video will also find them very insightful. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, everyone. And again, we'll do this every month. First Thursday of the month, be talking next month. We'll be focusing more on Dev Console, but definitely talk a little bit more about Explorer feedback as well. It'll kind of be a shared meeting. And again, yeah, every Thursday we're going to be having these community feedback sessions and meetings. Next week Thursday will be the protocol. So if you have anything for the core team, Bowen's team, feel free to jump on and chat with us. And again, third Thursday is the tooling, and the last one is going to be indexer and database stuff. So yeah, feel free to feel free to join, and yeah, we'll see you in the future. Thanks,
Everybody, appreciate it.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Just to answer June, yes, the links for the meetings are in Discord announcements. I'm announcing them in the Telegram channels. Yeah, I'm working on a landing page on NEAR.org, so that way they can all be listed there as well. So yeah, keep an eye out in Discord.
Josh, there is one open question in Q&A if you want to take it.
Oh, not related to NEAR, but want to hear Josh talking about Pagoda something. Seems very interesting.
I'll assume this is me, Josh, since I have the Pagoda shirt on. Yeah, let me, I hope you didn't leave yet. Oh, okay, cool. Yes, you're still here. Awesome. Yes, so Pagoda actually is a rebrand of NEAR Inc. So everything we've been talking about on here, Explore, Dev Console, our tooling, things built on top of NEAR, actually are now going to be not necessarily branded Pagoda, but the company that develops those is now Pagoda. And so what we mentioned this at the top of the meeting, but you might not have been here. This is essentially going to be a combined Dev Console and Explore meeting. And so in the future, actually at the very next meeting, we'll be talking more about what exactly that is. But if you go to pagoda.co, you can check it out. It's a tool that manages the operational side of your dApp. So once you've got it deployed, you want to see some metrics, you want to see a combined view, focused view of your contracts, things of that nature, alerts and triggers we'll be talking about next month. So yes, and thank you, Vlad, for posting the link in there. There's also, you know what, before we go, I can post you a link to the presentation I gave at East Denver about it as well, which is a nice, like, succinct intro to it.
And there is another question, like, what's the difference between NEAR Inc. and NEAR Foundation? That probably, yeah, worth clarifying, Josh.
Look.
Oh, okay, that was weird. I thought I heard someone else speak. Yes, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong here, but the difference between NEAR Inc. and NEAR Foundation is that much like a pattern you've probably seen elsewhere in the blockchain space, like NEAR Foundation is a nonprofit that handles the community, is meant to like advance the protocol, things like that. Actually, Josh, you can correct me if I'm wrong here. NEAR Foundation handles like grants as well.
Yeah, that's
right?
correct.
Not Pagoda.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Whereas like NEAR Inc. / Pagoda, we do kind of two main things. We build tools and services on top of NEAR protocol, and we also are one of the main contributors to the protocol itself.
Cool. Any follow-up questions? We'll give it one more. Okay, cool. She says thanks, or Heath says thanks, he or she. Cool. I think that's it. I think we did it. I think we did our first Explore Dev Console meeting. Yeah, again, feel free to drop us any questions in chat. And yeah, if we didn't answer any questions that you have today, shameless plug for office hours, DevRel. We have them every single day. If you go to office hours, I'll drop it in chat. NEAR.org/office hours. We do twice a day, one in Europe and one in the Americas time zone. Hang out for an hour, talk about anything you want to talk about, development related. Feel free to jump in one of those on daily cadence. And then we also have weekly Chinese and Vietnamese and Ukrainian and Russian speaking meetings as well. So feel free to join any one of those chats and head over to NEAR.org/office hours to find out more about how you can get involved. But yeah, anything else? I think we're good to go. Thanks everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining.
Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thanks everyone.